Evening. It's Thursday. It's opening day for baseball, everybody. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a flawed man of God. I am a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Let me get this mic close to me. I am not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I am not trying to get you to join my church or to donate to any special cause. What I am here to do is to give you some insights and some exposure to what it's like to be a Christian, an everyday Christian. I've been one all my life, Protestant, non-denominational, not really adhering to any or assigning myself to any specific doctrine or denomination. Just a man in the Word and trying to make sense of life, one day at a time. Trying to walk closer to Christ every day, and if it helps give you some insight on what it's like to be a Christian, if you're interested in starting a relationship with God, and or you're looking for some purpose that's more than just being here on this earth, welcome to this show. Thank you for tuning in. You are why I started this channel. If you're just tuning in because you want to have get some Christian dialogue going on, this show is for you too. This show is to talk about all things Christianity, and that's what you'll see through what I talk about and through the various guests that I bring on. So, just to get some things, just to get things moving in the right direction, get some things out of the way. We did have our normal Tuesday night show with Eric, and it was great. I needed it. Like I said, we had our church experienced the loss of one of our elders, maybe the elder, right? A very powerful force, very strong personality, who really just exuded love for Christ and love for his fellow man. He went to go be with the Lord, and we are deeply, deeply rocked by this departure. We're happy that he is rejoicing in heaven with God, but again, he leaves a distinct vacancy in our lives. So we're moving past that, and I hadn't streamed in a while, so I came out here guns blazing. Last night we did a little bit different, had a little off topic thing with the baseball draft. Saw how that went. It's a little boring if you're not really all that interested. And I'm wearing the same jersey, right? I wore the jersey for the draft. I'm wearing the jersey for opening night. That is how it works. And so I've got the Reds game going on in the background, and we'll see how badly they disappoint me this year. I love the players, can't stand the front office, and that's just where we'll go. So tonight we're gonna get closer to the end of Numbers. Brought that up. The next reading we do will be the finale of the book of Numbers, and that's where we'll move into Deuteronomy, which is a lot of Moses monologuing in there, but it's good. It's a good book. They're all good books, but this is going to be a good book to review. With that said, Tuesday night, we're going to have Thaddeus Patrick on. Thaddeus is going to talk about orthodoxy, the Christian orthodoxy, and kind of his take on things, what it means. He's an American, and the orthodoxy is not something you see a whole lot of. But they're out there. They are out there, and we're going to get some perspective from him on what it's like to be Orthodox Christian and how it compares and contrasts with the other denominations of us Protestants and the Catholics. And at some point, it's not going to be within the next couple of weeks, but at some point, I confirmed it today. I am going to have a show talking about the education system in America, specifically surrounding homeschooling. And we're going to have a panel of folks on. It's going to be Eric Roland, who I know he was homeschooled, and I think he's got some private school experience in there as an actual student. And he's got a young kid that obviously when you have a young kid, education is very much on your mind on how they're going to be schooled. We're going to have the Rafture on, who also homeschooled kid, to give us some perspective. Also has a very new baby, and he will be giving us his perspective on there. I will, of course, be on the panel. I was a public school kid in a pretty well-to-do um, school system, thanks partially to the efforts of my father, who was on the local board and had the county invest in education. And while I live in that school system, and it is still a good school system, I intend to send my kids to private school. And so we'll be talking. I'll be giving that perspective. And then our fourth guest, the one who I just got confirmation from today, will be Nick Rekieta. Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law. If you have tuned into his show, you know what to expect with him, and you know that he is a product of public school, and he homeschools his kids. So we're going to have a homeschooler on there to give us some perspective, and that's part. He was a key personality that I wanted on there because he does an excellent job answering um, answering questions as it relates to the stereotypes surrounding homeschooling and advocating for homeschooling, because I think it's something that Christians specifically need to be looking at as a viable option. But I think anybody who wants to get their kid an education that is free from maybe some of the more um, unwholesome indoctrination that we are worried about these days, um, that they can that they need to seriously look at homeschooling and the benefits that it has and it offers. So again, so Eric Roland, Raph, and Nick Rekieta and myself will be on. We have not scheduled this yet. We are trying to put dates together, and that will be quite a big. That'll be a big streaming episode for me. And like I said, I think all of y'all will enjoy it because we'll have a good group of personalities on there discussing a topic that is really kind of hot on everybody's mind these days. And with that said, that's what I've got on the horizon. Still working on getting my Anglican guest out here um, and on the stream, and that'll be good. But that's going to take some more effort from me to make sure that he's comfortable coming on here. But it's if you're looking for him on Twitter, it's what is it? Brandon Canon Theological something. It's at No Jesuit Tricks, and he is a very based Anglican. He is what he calls based Anglican fundamentalist. So based AF. Take that as you will. He's got merch for it too. It's hilarious. If I was Anglican, I'd have it. I'd be wearing it. But with that said, we're going to get into numbers today. We have been drifting through numbers, and it has been just a mixture, a mixed bag of some very dry numbers, census, rules, procedures, what we're normally used to with Leviticus, and then small episodes of action. And we're going to have action tonight, and then we're going to drift through some geography. And I'm going to stumble my way through that part, but we're going to breeze through that. And then I'm going to go back to watching opening night because it's nothing. Freed did get the Reds out 1-2-3, I believe. But Tyler Mahle, my boy, starting pitcher for the Reds, looks like he's carving them up. Just got a strikeout. So I'm going to go back to watching opening night, opening day, opening evening for us. And I got a buddy who's at the game. He's a huge Braves fan. Like I said, from Richmond. And if you're from the Richmond area, you know that the Richmond Braves was the AAA ball club back in the 80s and 90s. And a lot of the old, we call them old now, but Chipper Jones, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Mark Lemke, Javi Lopez, they all came through Richmond. And that was like the only sport we had because the local or the city VCU, which is now is somewhat relevant in basketball, it has no football team. And the basketball team, nobody cared about it. It was the only sport that people would gather around in Richmond. We're not a sports city. Virginia is not a sports state. I don't think we'll ever have a major major league level pro team here. I will be surprised if that ever changes. So, Austin Riley got a hit. Whatever. Anyway, With that said, we'll talk to God tonight with some, or we'll listen to God tonight as we read from Numbers. So let me set this up. Good morning, Fig. How you doing? I haven't even looked to see how your team's doing. I did pretty decent. All right. Vengeance on the Midianites. Now, if you remember the Midianites, when we last left the Midianites, they were trying to get the king of the Midianites was trying to get his local what do you call it? If you want to call him a shaman, whatever, Balaam out there to curse the Israelites. And Balaam, being actually a guy in touch with God, said, "Nah, that's not going to happen because I don't have permission to do that, and I'm not going to countermand God." Now, but what we're about to see here is something that's very confusing. So, chapter 31, the Lord said to Moses, "Take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. After that, you will be gathered to your people." Okay, so God's saying basically, complete this, and I'm bringing you up to heaven with me. So Moses said to the people, "Arm some of your men and go to war against the Midianites so that they may carry out the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel." So 12,000. So 12,000 men armed for battle. I can do math. I can do the maths. 1,000 from each tribe were supplied from the clans of Israel. Moses sent them into battle, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, who took with him articles of the sanctuary and the trumpets for signaling. I wonder if Phinehas took that that spear he used to pin that chieftain and his thought to the ground. I wonder if he brought that with him. I will skewer many Midianites with this, but he didn't. He's bringing trumpets for signaling. And if you think that bringing trumpets to a battle is kind of a weak job, just wait until we get to the walls of Jericho. They fought against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses and killed every man. Among their victims were Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. Why? Why was Balaam there? They didn't kill Balak, but Balaam was there. That's the interesting thing. The Israelites captured the Midianite women and children and took all the Midianite herds, flocks, and goods as plunder. They burned all the towns where the Midianites had settled, as well as their camps. They took all the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals, and brought the captive spoils and plunder to Moses and Eleazar the priest and the Israelite assembly at their camp on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Now, if you're as old as me and you were into computer games, the whole thing, that time I'm reading this, I'm thinking of Age of Empires, that they're just going by all the different camps and destroying all the original Age of Empires. The original Age of Empires. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds who returned from the battle. "Have you allowed all the women to live?" he asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man. Okay. Moses comes out there angry. This was not the instructions, right? And now we find out what's going on with Balaam. So Balaam didn't curse. Balaam didn't curse the Israelites. However, he did plot against them, apparently. But I don't know what it was that made Balaam get so stupid that he would do something like that. But apparently, he was he told Balak, or he told somebody with the Midianites, "Hey, look, get all your hoes over there and have them come over and screw around with the guys. And if they do that, God's going to be mad at them." And so they did. and God was, and there was a plague, and then there was Phineas with his spear spiking the chieftain, and then it ended. But all of this was apparently Balaam's doing, and so he's like, so any woman who is not a virgin, and all the boys are dead. Anyone who has killed someone or touched someone who was killed must stay outside the camp 7 days. On the third and seventh days, you must purify yourselves and your captives. Purify every garment as well as everything made of leather, goat hair, or wood. And so all the guys who went in immediately, everybody knew you didn't see the action. You didn't see any action. You didn't kill anybody and you didn't touch anybody who was dead. You didn't do anything. You didn't go out there. You don't have any notches on your belt. So they know who's not coming in there, a war hero. Then Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers who had gone into battle, "This is what is required by the law that the Lord gave Moses. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, lead, and anything else that can withstand fire must be put through the fire, and then it will be clean. But it must also be purified with the water of cleansing. And whatever cannot withstand fire must be put through that water. On the seventh day, wash your clothes, and you will be clean. Then you may come into the camp." This kind of reminds me in the army of going through what is it? When they issue you gear, the joke, and it's not really a joke in the army, is you have to return it in as good or better condition than you got it. Military government issued things you have to return in better condition. That's assuming it's going to last you that. But if you're out in the field, it gets really dirty. You're in the desert. Sand gets places you don't even know existed on your own body, much less on your equipment. So there's that. And so now they got to put it through the water. So it just reminds me of the issuing stations, and when you have to return the stuff, this isn't clean enough. They even had that stuff back in the old days. Dividing the spoils. The Lord said to Moses, "You and Eleazar the priest and the family heads of the community are to count all the people and animals that were captured. I mean, minus the women, the non-virgin women, and the boys that came back. Divide the spoils equally between the soldiers who took part in the battle and the rest of the community. From the soldiers who fought in the battle, set apart as tribute for the Lord, one out of every 500, whether people, cattle, donkeys, or sheep, take this tribute from their half share and give it to Eleazar the priest as the Lord's part. From the Israelites, half, select one out of every 50, whether people, cattle, donkeys, sheep, or other animals. Give them to the Levites who are responsible for the care of the Lord's tabernacle." So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. The plunder remaining from the spoils that every soldier took was 675,000 sheep, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 women who had never slept with a man, just say virgin. The half share of those who fought in the battle was 337,500 sheep, of which the Lord's tribute was 675. 36,000 cattle, of which the tribute for the Lord was 72. 30,500 donkeys, of which the tribute for the Lord was 61, and 16,000 people, of whom the tribute for the Lord was 32. Moses gave the tribute to Eleazar the priest as the Lord's part, as the Lord commanded Moses. That's what Moses does, except for once. The half belonging to the Israelites, which Moses set apart from that of the fighting men, the community's half, 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 people. From the Israelites' half, Moses selected one out of every 50 people and animals as the Lord commanded him and gave them to the Levites, who were responsible for the care of the Lord's tabernacle. When then the officers who were over the units of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, went to Moses and said to him, "Your servants have counted the soldiers under our command, and not one is missing. So we have brought as an offering to the Lord the gold articles each of us acquired, armlets, bracelets, signet rings, earrings, necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." Well done. Moses and Eleazar the priests accepted from them the gold, all the crafted articles, all the gold from the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds that Moses and Eleazar presented as a gift to the Lord, weighing 16,750 shekels. Each soldier had taken plunder for himself. Moses and Eleazar the priests accepted the gold from the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds and brought it into the tent of meeting as a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord. That is impressive. And that shows you have some grateful officers here. They went out to battle. Everyone came back. Everyone came back. And they beat everybody. They beat 5 kings and their armies. Boom. Dead. How's about that KD ratio? What if Al Farmer, RBI single. Got him. Anyway. Nope. When go ahead. See, this is what happens. I'm trying to watch baseball and talk about the Bible. Can only serve one master. Transjordan tribes. The Reubenites and Gadites, who had very large herds and flocks, saw that the lands of Jazer and Gilead were suitable for livestock. So they came to Moses and Eleazar the priest and to the leaders of the community and said, Adaroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elilah, Sebam, Nebo, and Baon, the land the Lord subdued before the people of Israel, are suitable for livestock, and your servants have livestock. If we have found favor in your eyes, they said, let this land be given to your servants as our possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan. Oh, so we want to settle here. Not where the God told you to, but I could see, yeah, we got some good land here. Let's let our livestock graze here briefly, but we got to get a move on because we got to keep going. We got to keep wandering. But they're asking for permission, and it sounds like they're asking politely. Moses said to the Gadites and Reubenites, should your fellow Israelites go to war while you sit here? Why do you discourage the Israelites from crossing over into the land of the Lord has given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea and to look over the land. After they went up to the valley of Eshcol and viewed the land, they discouraged the Israelites from entering the land the Lord had given them. The Lord's anger was aroused that day, and he swore this oath, because they have not followed me wholeheartedly. Not one of those who were 20 years old or more when they came up out of Egypt will see the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not one except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they followed the Lord wholeheartedly. The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years until the whole generation of those who had done evil in his sight was gone. And here you are, a brood of sinners, standing in the place of your fathers and making the Lord even more angry with Israel. If you turn away from following him, he will again leave all this people in the wilderness, and you will be the cause of their destruction. Then they came up to him and said, we would like to build pens here for our livestock and cities for our women and children. But we will arm ourselves for battle and go ahead of the Israelites until we have brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our women and children will live in fortified cities for protection from the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until each of the Israelites has received their inheritance. We will not receive any inheritance with them on the other side of the Jordan, because our inheritance has come to us on the east side of the Jordan. Did God say that? No. Are you assuming? Yes. Are you wrong? Of course. Then Moses said to them, if you will do this, if you will arm yourselves before the Lord for battle, and if all of you who are armed cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven his enemies out before him, then when the land is subdued before the Lord, you may return and be free from your obligation to the Lord and to Israel. And this land will be your possession before the Lord. But if you fail to do this, you will be sinning against the Lord. And you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Build cities for your women and children and pens for your flocks, but do what you have promised. The Gadites and Reubenites said to Moses, we, your servants, will do as our Lord commands. Our children and wives, our flocks and herds will remain here in the cities of Gilead. But your servants, every man who is armed for battle, will cross over to fight before the Lord, just as our Lord says." Then Moses gave the orders about them to Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun and to the family heads of the Israelite tribes. He said to them, "If the Gadites and Reubenites, every man armed for battle, cross over the Jordan with you before the Lord, then when the land is subdued before you, you must give them the land of Gilead as their possession. But if they do not cross over with you armed, they must accept their position with you in Canaan." The Gadites and Reubenites answered, "Your servants will do what the Lord has said." A lot of talk. A lot of talk right now. "Your servants will do what the Lord has said. We will cross over before the Lord into Canaan, armed, but the property we inherit will be on this side of the Jordan." Then Moses gave to the Gadites, the Reubenites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and the territory around them. The Gadites built up Dibon, Adaroth, Aroer, Atroth, Shofan, Jazer, Jogbeheth, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran as fortified cities, and built pens for their flocks. And the Reubenites rebuilt Heshbon, Elilah, and Kiriathaim, as well as Nebo and Baal Maon. These names were changed. And Sibmah. I would hope Baal Meon would be changed. They gave names to the cities they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went up to Gilead, captured it, and drove out the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to the Machirites, the descendants of Manasseh, and they settled there. Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, captured their settlements and called them Havoth Jair, and Nobah captured Kenath and its surrounding settlements and called it Nobah after himself. Okay, so that went well. And look what happens. They asked politely, and they made a promise that they would do kind of fulfill what they needed to do. And that's what I said. It's contingent. This agreement is contingent on them doing what they were supposed to do. And if they don't, God will get you because he's everywhere. He'll smash you like a bug. Don't do it. That doesn't necessarily mean the Israelites will listen or even believe. They can be stupid. All right, we're going to go through this quickly. Here are the stages in the journey of the Israelites when they came out of Egypt by divisions under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's command, Moses recorded the stages in their journey. This is their journey by stages. The Israelites set out from Ramses on the 15th day of the first month, the day after the Passover. They marched out defiantly in full view of all the Egyptians, who were burying all their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck down among them. The Lord had brought judgment on their gods. So now we're going to just briefly go through where they went during their journey. The Israelites left Ramses and captured Succoth. Then they left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the desert. They left Etham, turned back to Pi-Hahiroth to the east of Baal Zephon, and camped near Migdol. They left Pi-Hahiroth and passed through the sea into the desert. And when they had traveled for 3 days in the desert of Etham, they camped at Marah. They left Marah and went to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. They left Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They left the Red Sea and camped in the desert of Sin. Ominous. They left the desert of Sin and camped at Dophka. They left Dophka and camped at Alush. They left Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They left Rephidim and camped in the desert of Sinai. They left the desert of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hatava. They left Kibroth Hatava and camped at Hazeroth. They left Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They left Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. Then from there they went. I'm going to start paraphrasing him. Camped at Libnah, then camped at Rissa, then camped at Kehilathath, then camped at Mount Shepher, then camped at Harada, then camped at Machheloth. Man, this is awful. Machheloth, camped at Tahath, then camped at Terah, then camped at Mithka, Hashmanah, then camped at Mazeroth, then camped at Benajacan, then camped at Haggidgad, then camped at Jotpathah. Why do they make these words so terrible? Then they camped at Abranah, then camped at Ezion Geber, then camped at Kadesh in the desert of Zin, not Sin, but Zin. They left Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor on the border of Edom. At the Lord's command, Aaron the priest went up to Mount Hor, where he died on the first day of the 5th month of the 40th year after the Israelites came out of Israel. So on the first day of the 5th month of the 40th year. So that's the whole route that they took in those 40 years, for most part. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. The Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev of Canaan, heard that the Israelites were coming. They left Mount Hor and camped at Zalmanah. They left Zalmanah and camped at Punah. Then they camped at Oboth. Then camped at Abarim on the border of Moab. Then camped at Dibon Gad. Then camped at Almon Diblathaim. Then they camped at the mountains of Abarim near Nebo. They left the mountains of Abarim and camped on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. I'm so glad I'm past that part. There on the plains of Moab, they camped along the Jordan from Beth Jeshimoth, of course, that I can't escape it. Beth Jeshimoth to Abel Shittim. This place is a total Shittim. On the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into Canaan, drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you." This is very important. When you cross the Jordan into Canaan, drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you, destroy all their carved images and their cast idols, and demolish all their high places. Take possession of the land and settle in it, for I have given you the land to possess. Distribute the land by lot according to your clans. To a larger group, give a larger inheritance, and to a smaller group, a smaller one. Whatever falls to them by lot will be theirs. Distribute it according to your ancestral tribes. But if you do not, I can see God. If you do not, I repeat, if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land, those you allow to remain will become barbs in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They will give you trouble in the land where you will live. And then I will do to you what I plan to do to them. Which is not good, because we've already seen them kill them all, except for the virgins. And that will do it tonight, guys. So there we are. So now we know Balaam's fate, which was kind of abrupt, and we did not know what's going on. I would love to know more about what was going on there to cause him to do what he did. Was he given money for that? Did he sell him out like Judas, or was there something else going on? I don't know. Was he tempted by other means? Was he tempted by the women's? We'll see. But I'd love to get somebody on who can kind of answer that. In the meantime, next reading will be the last in Numbers. We'll follow that out. And then we will start on the last book of the Pentateuch of Deuteronomy the following time. So, folks, I hope you've enjoyed it here. Enjoy. Go watch some baseball. Baseball's a national pastime. It's still good. It helps slow down your life, which these days is moving at an incredibly fast pace. Take a moment, slow down, watch something that might put you to sleep or might just make you move a little bit slower. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to cheer on the Reds, and they're winning right now. If I look correctly. So take that, everybody. Anyway, with that said, all you guys have a very, very good evening. Good morning, Fig. Have a good day. Good night, and God bless.